What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me today for episode number 42 of the Car 5 podcast. I'm your host, Joshua. For today's episode, we're going to be talking about a brand new concept vehicle from Mercedes-Benz, the GLB. So as usual, everyone, let's go ahead and just dive right into things. This GLB is something that's very exciting. It's very different for Mercedes-Benz and their typical lineup of SUV vehicles. Because typically a Mercedes-Benz SUV aligns or has a cross coordinate with another Mercedes-Benz car or sedan. So as an example, the GLA is the CLA. The GLC is the equivalent SUV of the C-Class. The GLE, the E-Class, and then the GLS, the S-Class. But then we have the GLB, which is something just kind of different. So as an example of this cross equivalent, the GLC and the C-Class, they're literally the exact same interior, and they actually do have a little bit of a similar wheelbase. So in terms of that being a cross equivalent, what would the GLB have in terms of being a cross equivalent of a car? Well, there is the B-Class, but that doesn't necessarily comply with that same set of standard. The B-Class is 100% electric, and it's not really that big here in the United States. You'll see them around every so often, but it's mainly a big European thing. So what does the GLB really cross-coordinate with? In my honest opinion, it's another SUV, if you'll call it that, but it's actually the G Wagon. I think the GLB is an exact baby brother miniature version of the G-Class. Why? This thing's absolutely incredible. If you just go ahead and take a look at the GLB, the whole thing screams that it wants to go off-road. If you just look at everything about it, judging by the photos, you have everything from the increased off-road threaded tires. You have the raised body style. You have the roof lights. You have the roof storage. The whole 9 yards. Everything about this car says, take me off-road, which is something very different for the size of what it is. If sources are correct and all the information I'm seeing is accurate, this GLB is meant to be in between the GLA, which is the smallest Mercedes-Benz SUV, and the GLC. It's right in between there. And what's really going to blow your mind about the GLC is what Mercedes-Benz decided to use for the engine. When you think of SUVs and off-roadness, what do you think? At least myself, I think V8s, maybe V6s. Not this GLB. Mercedes-Benz is saying their 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that's turbocharged is powerful enough to get the job done for this GLB. Something completely different than what you would have thought of. But hey, if Mercedes-Benz is saying their 2-liter 4-cylinder is good enough to get the job done off-road, I 100% believe them. Mercedes-Benz is far beyond the point of having to prove themselves. If they're saying something is good enough, I 100% believe him. It's good enough. This 2-liter 4-cylinder is also going to utilize an 8-speed automatic transmission, which is going to deliver you from the engine itself 224 horsepower. So I would not sweat this 4-cylinder engine at all. I know something's a little bit different to hear, but if Mercedes-Benz is saying it's good, it's good. Of course, the GLB is going to utilize Mercedes-Benz's all-wheel drive system, 4MATIC Plus. I would imagine in this particular case, they're actually saying it's meant to be staying on at all times. So the more and more we learn about this car, it's definitely meant for off-road use, like the G Wagon. But what's funny about the G Wagon is the majority of people don't even use it for off-road. They're cruising on Rodeo Drive in Los Angeles. Moving on to the interior, absolutely beautiful. The whole car is full-on suede, and the crazy part is it has 7 seats. It's crazy to think that Mercedes has found a way to cram 7 seats in a car that's just bigger than a GLA, but it's just smaller than a GLC. Again, if that information is accurate, I don't even know how, engineering-wise, they would make that happen. Of course, this car is going to utilize Mercedes-Benz's MBUX infotainment system, which is their latest, greatest up-to-date technology via voice activation. As a whole, this GLB is something crazy to think about because it's literally a perfect car for everyone that wants a G-Wagon but can't absolutely afford one. Now, getting a G-Wagon is not necessarily extremely hard in terms of production numbers and availability. You can find them everywhere, but they're just a little bit more expensive. If you want a brand new G550, it's going to cost between $130,000 and $140,000. A G63, 160 to 180, depending on your spec. A G65, way beyond $200,000. So if the G Wagon is your dream car, but you just can't maybe afford one just yet, the GLB is the car for you. Again, this is entirely a concept vehicle. I hope Mercedes-Benz does create it. It's something very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And ladies and gentlemen, that actually concludes episode number 42 of the Car 5 podcast, talking about the Mercedes-Benz GLB Concept. Don't forget to follow on Instagram, like on Facebook. Remember, when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you're entered in a chance to win free authentic brand merchandise through some of your favorite car brands. Winners are announced at the end of the month, and we're getting there for the end of May, so don't forget to subscribe. Anything you guys need from me, shoot me an email, info@car5podcast.com. Don't forget to tune in June 3rd for episode number 43. We're going to talk about a brand new car from Lotus, which is an electric hypercar they're calling the Type 130. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Please remember to drive safe and have a fantastic evening. Thank you.